Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to my stream and another video series working on this guy right there. That's our 92 Toyota by AMT. We'll run the intro. We'll get started in a minute, okay? Okay guys, we're back. We're starting a new series today. We're starting our 92 Toyota 4x4 pickup. This is a 1/20th scale model kit by AMT. 1/20th being quite unusual of a size. Usually model kits of cars natures are, you know, they're like 1/24, 1/25th scale. This is 1/20th. It's very unusual, but we're going to do it anyway. So we're going to open up the box. Well, actually I already have the box open. This is going to be a unique series, guys, because we're going to be doing something totally different. We'll get to that after we go through what the kit has in it, okay? So let's take a look here. So, obviously, we're starting off with the box of the pickup, and we have the cab. So we already have an idea of how that's going to go, something like that. We already have an idea how that's going to look, right? Okay, let's just put these aside. We've got nylon tires, some decent looking tread, nice looking truck tires. We've got 4 of those in the box here. We've got a chrome sprue, rear bumper, or maybe that's a front bumper, I'm not sure. Probably could be the front. We've got a grill, looks like an intake manifold. Looks like an intake manifold off of a 1995 liter Mustang is what that looks like. And we've got our rims and looks like some other little, maybe that's mirrors and maybe a carburetor, and I don't know what those are, door steps maybe, I don't know, and a rear view mirror of course for the cab right there. Okay, that's easy. You can tell I haven't even opened up the bag on this to see all the parts. That's how new this kit is to me. Normally I've already got the bags opened and the sprues all in the boxes by themselves to see what we've got going on. This one I don't, so let's see. Spare parts in the bag or loose parts in the bag. We've got a seat that's come off of the sprue here. Both seats, 2 seats come off of the sprue. Decided to be their own little guys. Obviously they were sitting right here. Engine halves, the backs of the seats. We've got the bucket for the cab, the interior. This looks like maybe a gas tank. Okay. Flip this over. We've got our firewall. We've got our dashboard. I'm guessing this might be a transfer case, something like that. Leaf springs, obviously for the rear. Cylinder heads. Maybe, I'm not sure what that is. Steering wheel. I'm guessing that's a cooling fan. Disc brakes. I have no idea what these are. Fan belt, battery. There's our rear view mirrors. That looks like the lower half of our intake manifold. A couple of shocks. And maybe a brake booster with the master cylinder. That's my guess anyway. But that could also be a starter. I don't know. Next, we got our rear end. Or maybe that's the front end. I don't know. It is a 4x4. The rear tailgate. This may be the inside panel for the tailgate. I don't know. Maybe a steering tie rod. Exhaust manifolds. Exhaust pipes, I'm guessing. Intake pipe, I guess. Next, we've got our frame for the truck and a couple of windshield wipers and a license plate. Alright, that's good enough for that. We've got this. I have no idea what these are. Flotation devices? I don't know. And I also don't know what that is, but there we go. We've got them, whatever they are. We will find out. Looks like we've got a bush guard for the front, or front lower suspension. Looks like a skid plate. Differentials, maybe transfer case. Maybe this is our front differential. Drive shafts. No idea. Maybe for the frames. extra frame rails or something, maybe for the box. I don't know what they're for. We will find out. It looks like lower frame stuff. There's our shifter. And this, I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. It's going to be an interesting build. Here we have the hood. Hood for the truck. Looks like a rear bumper. And we've got our roll bars. And maybe another bumper. Maybe it's options in the bumpers. And of course the rear halves of our wheels or rims. I'm going to leave this sprue over here because I'm going to need that in a minute or two. We have our clear parts sprue. I'm going to leave them in the bag for now. Windshield, rear window. This looks like maybe a cargo net. And then we've got our lenses for our headlights and tail lights and stuff like that. That looks like it's a cargo net. You know how back in the late 80s, early 90s, sometimes there was an option. You could go to like your you know, your aftermarket car parts stores or whatever, and you could remove the tailgate and replace it with like a cargo net kind of thing that was supposed to be really tough, allow for, you know, aerodynamics before Mythbusters proved everyone wrong. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to leave these in the bag because it just keeps them protected and keeps them from getting scratched. So we're going to put these off to the side. We obviously have our instructions, and it feels like we've got some decals stuck to them. Various license plates, Toyota emblems, stripes for the sides, different gauges. You can have white face gauges, or you can have dark gauges, black face. Not that black face, guys. You know what I mean. 4x4 for the license plate, or you can do, or Toyota, whatever you prefer. Arizona, Tennessee, Indiana, Florida, Texas plates, California, and Hawaii even. All right, there's our decals for that. What have we got here? This is the protective sheet for our decals, and we've got red tail light lenses. All that stuff, and here's our extra parts that come with the sprue, and they really have no meaning. All right, so let's put most of this back in the box. All of this stuff I want to prime before I really start doing any of the assembly. Okay, so that's going to be kind of step number one for this. But the other thing we're going to be doing, switch the camera here. The other thing we're going to be doing, I'm going to introduce you guys to some 3D printing. That's what we're going to be doing on this truck. We're going to be doing some 3D printing. I'm fairly new to 3D printing. I've only been 3D printing stuff for a few months, so I'm very new to it. But I want to bring you guys along with me on this journey of 3D printing. So I already know, and we're going to probably along the way too. All right, and the reason being is I want to turn this truck, what I'm going to be doing with this truck, this is not going to be a pristine 1992 Toyota. This is going to be a Toyota that's being run around today from 1992, and maybe it's over in Afghanistan or maybe Iraq, something to that effect. I'm sure you guys have seen it on the news. You've seen many videos where these guys put these anti-aircraft guns in the box, in the back of these things, and they drive them around with this big gun in the back. That's what we're going to make. We're going to 3D print an anti-aircraft gun to go in the back of this. Okay, and I'm going to call this my Taliban Toyota. Taliban Toyota. That's what we're going to call it, guys. But one of the things I need to do is I need to find out the size of the thing that I can do on here. So one of the first things I need to do is see what kind of width and length I have to play with for sizing our little anti-aircraft gun. So I need to go, I noticed that this thing does have a roll bar that's going to go in the back here. That's going to restrict my size. So I want to see what are my I want to get straight to the roll bar assembly, because it's going to be its own unique piece that goes in there. So that's going to be step number 1, is assembling our roll bar. Okay, so I'm going to change the camera back. We're going to assemble the roll bar first. Okay, why my computer is lagging, I don't know, but it is, and that's unfortunate, but it's all right. So for our roll bar, let's put this aside here. For our roll bar, obviously we need this piece here. We need our 2 bars going down, so that's this here. Let me get this on camera here so you can see this guy here. Okay, we're doing this guy. So we need number 41 and 42, these guys here. And since I'm assembling it, I might as well do what I'm supposed to with the fire extinguisher, even though I wouldn't expect these guys to actually have a fire extinguisher on the roll bar. Safety does not seem to be something these guys are concerned about. Not very much anyway. Now this hood is threatening to come off of the sprues, so I want to just nip it in the bud and do that. And I want to leave these little nubs on there so I can clean them up later. Okay, alright. And it looks like that's it, except for lenses that go into the lights. Let's just do that. That's where we're going to leave it at. Okay, so hood can go over here. Now we want to clean up our bars a little bit. This got ejector pin mark going on here, so we got to clean these up. It's going to be a lot easier to clean these up now than if I wait. If I try and assemble these first and then clean up these nubs, it's just not going to work. So let's just do it right. You know, there is a possibility that I don't put the roll bar in. It might interfere, but it might be okay too, you know. Another thing I might do is, you know, just for artistic reasons, is take one of the lights off the top. That's another thing I'm thinking. Have one light that's just you know, it disappeared. It got knocked off at some point between 1992 and now. So I do want to sand this down. I want this to look like a pipe. I want it round. I don't want it, you know, you get that seam line on these things similar to exhaust pipes. You get your seam line in there and it ruins the illusion, right, of it actually being a pipe. Which is why I understand guys swap this kind of stuff out for actual like brass tubing and stuff like that. Because it's a lot easier to make it realistic. Same with like the armor guys, you know, like Uncle Night Shift doing his brass barrels on his tanks, on his armor models. I get it. I do understand why. It's a lot easier to work with an actual piece of tubing than trying to make this piece of plastic look like one. I get it. I really do. I understand it. That's kind of the challenge though, isn't it? Because it can be done. You can get it round. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease. So there's one pipe done. I think I'm going to get rid of our fire extinguisher on this. I don't believe they would actually have one. It just seems unrealistic to actually have a fire extinguisher. Yes, if this truck was in America or even Canada, yeah, possibly. I'll leave the straps on there and say, hey, you know, there's something there they could have put on there. They chose not to because they don't care. These guys don't care. They're too busy yelling and hollering and hooting and whatever to yelling out the praises of their cause. You know those guys. You know who I'm talking about. It's the usual suspects. That's what we're doing. We're gonna just why not? It's my Taliban Toyota. Taliban Toyota. That's what I'm calling it. Just because. 2 T's. So if any of you out there are finding this offensive because I'm calling it a Taliban Toyota, I invite you to leave a comment below. Let me know. If you find it offensive, then I won't call it that anymore, and I apologize. I'm not here to try and offend people, okay? I'm just having a little bit of fun doing something a little different. Something that you would see definitely over in the Middle East there. Quite common is this kind of vehicle with a weapon in the back. Modern day times, definitely you see this kind of thing. And so that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing this. This was suggested to me by a good friend as something to just to be different from the norm. You know, yeah, you can make airplanes and you can make tanks and you can make hot rod cars all day long. But doing something unique is different. So I think I am gonna get rid of one of these lights. I'm gonna say, yep, one of our lights was broken off. We're gonna choose the driver's side one. Why not? Driver's side light. It was broken off years ago. I don't know why. Don't know what happened. We're just gonna leave it like that and clean up our bar. Get rid of our seam. I guess what they call it is a parting line. It's where the two halves of the molding came together when they molded this. It's unfortunate that it has it. That's a kind of a nature of it. It's just the way it is. The manufacturing process, it does this. Can't really be avoided. The best model companies in the world, such as Tamiya, they encounter this too. So it's just the way it is. Yeah, it's a little less pronounced on a Tamiya kit, but they still get it. It still happens. Okay. Do the inside part here. Whoop, whoop. It's trying to get away on me here. Okay. Gonna work our way around. I think technically I could get away with just putting this in and just see how it looks, but I think we're okay. This is something I'd have to do anyway, so might as well get it over with, right? Might as well. Okay. Let's just clean this up. Let's get any scratches. Any little imperfections. Speaking of imperfections, this is a kind of thing, you know, because this is, I'm not depicting a brand new truck. This is something that's got lots, you know, probably like 250,000 miles on it. We're not going for brand new look, right? It's just the way it is. Okay, so our pipes are supposed to go in like this and go down just like that, right? So there's no holes or anything in the box. Okay, this is kind of molded like this. You can see they got some molding in there to match the grooves in the box here. So that gives you a guide of exactly where it's supposed to go, like this. Okay, and then these simply go into place here and go up against the back of the bed. These two have grooves in them too. So let's see, it doesn't fit there, so it's supposed to go in that groove, which is really going to restrict where I can do. So if I trim this and make this flat, I could put it on top of that bar and have them spread out a little bit. So that's going to go like this. I could have it spread out because they want it to go just straight, but I don't want it straight like this. Okay, this is a little bit challenging here. Let's get some tape. Tape it up. I'm going to help myself here and just kind of tape this in a little bit here. Tape this in. Tape that bar down. Do the other side too. There we go. Okay. I don't have this tape anymore. There. Okay. That's where she's going to go. So, this guy, they want to have it just straight, which would put it like right there. But I don't want that. I want it out like this. I want it out to the edge, like this. Still straight up and down, but I want it there. So I want to trim this off. That little lip they've got going on there. And let's just make this flat. File this down flat. It's actually pretty thick. It's a thick, really thick plate they've got going on this. It's really, really out of scale, the thickness of the plate they've got on there. But that's okay. So, that's going to go like that. We want our bar straight up and down. I want to glue it in the spot where it's supposed to stay, where it's going to stay, where it's going to live in its home. I want to put a little glue in there now. Okay. Alright, let's work on our other one. Where'd our other pipe go? There it is. This one here goes on this side, obviously. I'm going to do the same deal with this one. Let's trim this off. I like to change the angles of where on the directions that I'm filing, so that if I start to go like strange on some kind of a strange angle, I don't accidentally file it on a weird angle and make it really awkward. So that's why I like to move it around a little bit and just change the direction of my filing. As I file this down smooth and a little bit thin. And pretty much just like that. This one though, I want to move it over just a little bit. Just like that. And let's put some glue on this guy and get him going where he's supposed to go. That's pretty good. Okay, a little more glue, especially on this guy, just because I moved him a bit. Here we go. So that's where our guys are going to be sitting in their homes, and that's our roll bar installed. Okay, you see it's not perfectly straight. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't need to be perfectly straight. That's kind of the beauty of this. Okay, that's perfect. Now that gives me the chance to now measure in between here and here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is make sure this goes all the way to the edge. I'm going to go grab a caliper tool. Okay. I'll just push it in all the way. And it is. Okay. The other thing I need. Okay, so I got my caliper tool here, and I'm going to do some measuring. So, let me get the battery put in it here. It's not a tool that I use very often, and so I like to keep the battery out of it so the battery never doesn't die on me. And of course the battery doesn't want to fit. Does it work? Yes. Let's zero this. I'm going to measure in millimeters, and we're going to go in between to see what our maximum distance is in between these guys. And it doesn't really want to fit in there, but maybe I can do this and get, still doesn't really want to fit in there, but I can get a good idea. I can eyeball it. Okay, that's our maximum width right there. 37.92 millimeters. We'll call it 37.5. Okay, just for argument's sake, I'm going to write this down. 37.5, and that's our width. Okay, now our maximum length is going to be, we have to think about the tailgate being in this spot, so we'll measure from that bar to about there, our maximum being, I'm going to call it 86 millimeters, even 80, I'm going to call it actually 85 millimeter length is our maximum length. Okay, so an 85 millimeter length, and that's all she wrote. Here we are. So this is where the magic is going to happen. Okay guys, switch my glasses, I don't need these ones on right now. This is where we're going to get into the 3D printing part of this build. Okay, so I have already gone online and I downloaded an STL file, which is what you need to do for your 3D printing. I downloaded an STL file from a website called cults3d.com. I'll put a link down in the description box below so you guys can go check that out. Okay, so I searched for an AA anti-aircraft gun, found one that I liked on Cults3D, and I bought it, purchased it, because a lot of the stuff on these sites are you have to pay for them. There are lots of free ones too, but not always. I would say most of the time it's not free, and if it is free, probably the quality isn't all that great. You want something that's the good quality, that's going to print good, that kind of thing, right? So paid for it, downloaded it, I have it on my computer. I want to go through this process with you, going into what we call a slicer. That's the software that you have on your computer that allows you to play around with these STL files, and allows you to send that file to the printer, which you can actually print then. Okay, so let's load up our slicing program. So the program I use is called ChituBox. Not shit your box, it's ChituBox. Okay, you don't want to shit in your box. You want a ChituBox, ChituBox, okay, ChituBox. So they have just, I'll do a little disclaimer now. They've just did a new update, and they've changed the format of how their software looks, and I'm still kind of learning that and navigating through it. So let's get into this. I'm going to fire up the program here. Let me change the camera. Let's hopefully this works, and we'll go into it and we'll see what we can get. Okay. Obviously blank right now. Let's see here. All right. So I need to change my mouse. So right here, I've already selected my printer in this, and that's what's showing me now is the build plate on my printer. Okay, that's what this is, and it's automatically put all of my files here at the side. So zoom in here. What I've done is I took that AA gun and I split it into different parts. Okay, so let's put this in the middle for now. I'll go over here and we'll center it. Okay, so we have the main gun right there. That's the main part there. Okay, and then we have the ammo boxes, which are right here, and then of course we've got the main barrels sitting straight up like that. Okay, but it is telling me that I've got some closed cavities. So one thing you need to be careful of, you don't want to have closed cavities on your print, because you'll have, what happens is the resin inside of these closed cavities doesn't cure, and then what happens is eventually one day down the road, it could be 6 months, it could be a year from now, all of a sudden your 3D printed thing is split apart and is leaking resin on your shelf. And so you don't want that. So we're going to fix that. What I'm going to do is go into this and we're going to drill a couple of holes. This is showing me in yellow. See this yellow down here and in here? Those are where the holes are. So it's detecting, well, they're not holes, they are sections where it's got these closed up cavities that we need to put holes in to relieve them so we don't have resin in there. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it down, and this allows me to see all the different layers that's going to print. As we scroll down, we can see the different layers that are printing. Okay, so I want to get to about here. This is where our cavities are. So I need to drill holes into those. So up here at the top, we have the drill option in the middle. So we're going to hit that. Over on the side, we can select the type of hole that's going to be drilled, how many sides it has. You could do just a square, you could do triangle, you could do, I've selected 36 sides, so it's going to be a round circle. We have the size, the diameter of the hole that we're going to drill, the depth, how deep the hole will be, and then this will be the angle, the C angle, which shows you down here. I have chosen 90 degrees. I don't want it tapered, I want it just straight. We have the option of retaining the plug if you want to retain whatever you've just drilled out. For example, if you're doing a figure or something like that, and you want to retain that plug because you just need to put a hole in it, you can do that. We don't need to do that with this. All I need to do is drill a hole. Now you see I put my mouse over here, it's going to show me where that hole is and where it's going to go. So I think for my purpose, a round hole is fine. It doesn't really matter. This is a part that's got the bottom and it's not really going to be seen, although it is a little too big to fit in there. So I'm going to change the size. I'm going to grab my keyboard here, and we're going to change the size. Let's go to 2 millimeters instead of 2.5. That seems to be pretty good. So I'll just drill a hole right here. It's going to just do that. It's going to show that there. It's going to hold that there. And I'll put another hole right here. Bing. And that's going to drill right through. It should drill, yeah, because I've selected 14 millimeters as the depth of my holes. I don't really need that at all. You see, it shows you a preview as you go around to different parts and how long that's going to be. We don't need that at all. Let's change this to about 4 millimeters, and let's just delete our selections here, and let's go put them back. 1 and 2. That seems a little bit more appropriate. Still really long. Oh, because it went back to 14. Let's go back to 4. There we go. That's a little bit more appropriate now. Let's go 1 and 2. I want to make sure it is going to go all the way through. So, and it looks like it. So now we're going to click apply, and it's drilled those holes. And all of a sudden that yellow outline, let's go back to select here, that yellow outline is gone now, And now this looks like a solid model. So we've cured our hole problem, or not our hole, but we've cured our cavity problem. So that, you can see there are 2 holes there. The green designates exactly what's touching on the build plate. So it means those 4 spots are actually contacting the plate. So we need to check our size. We want to make sure that this thing is going to fit in the back of that truck. So we want a maximum length of 85 millimeters. So we do have a measure tool up here, so we can measure 2 points. So I should be able to click on this edge here and then just kind of put my mouse over all the way to the end here, and just by dragging, it's only letting me go so far here. Go to about here. That's pretty close. It won't let me go further because there's nothing for it to look at. So we've got a total distance here of 25.92 millimeters. We can do a total of 85. Let's check our width. Okay, so I will deselect this, go back to measure, and let's see what our width is like, because we're going to have it going in between. So we want to go from here, and we'll go over to this side here. We're at 17, and we can do 37. 37 is the maximum we can do, but we're only at 17, so we can make this thing significantly bigger. And so that's what we're going to do, because this is going to be, if I leave it like this, it's going to be way too tiny to fit in there. So we need to scale this up. So what we're going to do is highlight everything, because we want it to scale all pieces together at once. So now we're going to go over here on the right, we're going to go to scale. Okay, now we can select drag on the model, and it brings up these, and you can just drag it like this, and it makes them all bigger, smaller, just like that. I have this over here, the ratio, it's locked. If you unlock this like this, and then you drag it, drag this purple one, that's only going to scale it on that axis, right? And not scale it accordingly. So we want to undo this now, go back to the original, turn that back on. So now when I scale it, everything scales. The height, the width, the depth, everything scales properly. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this over out of the way, because we're getting a little collision. That's why they're turning red on me. So we're going to move these. I'm going to scale these up a little bit here. Okay. Scale them up. Do that. Okay, move these out of the way. I'm going to go back to measure. Undo that. Measure. Oh, back to measure. This edge. To this edge. Which edge was it? Let's zoom out a little bit here. Yeah, that's the edge there. Straight across. We want straight. 25. We can go 37.5. So let's go again. Back to select. Drag it. Let's try that. Oh, I forgot to drag. I forgot to grab all of them. See, little things like this, it's very important. You've got to do them all at once. Okay, measure again. From this edge to this edge. We're at 34. Okay, 34 is pretty good. We can go 37, but 34 is pretty good, I think. Let's take a look at our length. Goes from here back to here. We're only at 51, so our length is good. Because even if I go further back to here, that's still not going to be that much further. So I think we're good as far as our size. I could go a little bit bigger, but I really don't see the need. 34 going up to 37 is 3 millimeters. It's not really much difference. If we go green, yeah, it won't let me. Oops, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I think we're just good to leave it like that. So now, then what's the next step? The next step is going to be just making sure I'm on screen here. Yeah. The next step is orienting these in a way that's going to be good to print, okay? Because one thing you need to be concerned about is the pull force or peel force on the print. If you print a big thing like this area here, that's a lot of peel force on the printer and is likely to fail. So we want to orient it in a way that's going to work. I'm going to select this piece just by itself, and I'm going to select this and I'm going to rotate it. I think doing this is probably the best way to do it. I'm going to do it so that this piece here is kind of straight up and down. Why do we suddenly have closed cavities? I'm not sure why it suddenly detected closed cavity there. That is very strange. I'm going to click over here. I'm going to orient to face, and I'm going to put it back on the face here. And let's have a look. Now those holes are gone. What is going on here? That is really strange. Let's do this again. Now instead of holes, we've got collision. And we've got holes. I'm going to select our boxes and move them out of the way. Now we've got holes here. So, we need to figure out why there's holes. What I think I'm going to try and do is let's put this back on its face. And we're going to hollow this out, okay? We're going to hollow it out. So, how do we do that? Up here there's a tool to hollow it. And that's right here, right beside drill. We go hollow, and we can choose how thick our walls are going to be. And you can choose your position. You can do a bottom through, which would put holes in the bottom of it automatically. We're going to give it a try. Sometimes it doesn't always work, and if it doesn't work, it basically just stops right away. If it does work, it takes a minute or two. So right now it's thinking, and it did it. It was really quick, super quick. Let's see. Now that it hollowed it, it's good. We have more cavities. Usually we can fix that. Now, I say usually. Now all of a sudden you can see the hollow points in it. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with the hollow points. That's perfectly fine. But we have little spots like in here and up in here that have cavities now. And we need to put holes for those. So I think I could drill a hole. Let's go drill. I might be able to drill a hole right here in the face. Let's see, I don't want to drill right through, but I do want a hole. Let's try there. And we can click apply. We can do this as we go along. And if that's cleaned that up, that should, in a minute, fix that cavity hole. It did right there. So that's no longer there. But there is still something going on there. So let's see if we can figure out what this is. It's because there's a kind of a hole right here. So we might be able to get away with drilling a hole right there. Let's see. do that, hit apply, and now we'll scroll back up. Okay, so we put a hole there inside, but I'm not going to see that hole, so it doesn't really matter. So that is cured. Let's have a look down here, see what's going on down there. It's right there. It's right in here. Actually, it looks like it's the bottom. It looks like it's right here. Let's try that. It took part of it away. Of course, it's on the bottom, so it's not a place I'm ever really going to see. It doesn't really matter, does it? It's still detecting 5 cavities. You see, that one's done, but we've got this in here. Let's see if I can drill a hole down like that. Fix that. This down here. See, this is like it's detected a hole. Let's just do that. Even though I've drilled that hole there, it's still detecting it as a hole, as a cavity, not a hole. So let's drill that hole right through. Sometimes you got to do multiple things or make your plug really long. So there we go. You can see how it's left a dent in there, but hey, it has cured it. It just cured it. Okay, so let's go back to select and let's rotate this back up. Wrong way. We're at roughly that angle, right? Suddenly we got holes everywhere. We got huge holes. I'm going to ignore this. This is some funny glitchy stuff going on here, because there isn't, you know what it is? It's because there's a hole in the whole thing. There's a big gap. So what I'm going to do, put this back down. Let's get through that section and go to there. We've got multiple layers on this thing, and that's why. So I'm going to put a hole here, 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 here. And we're just going to close this in. We've got this guy's thing. I'm going to change my angle. It's not perpendicular, but to my camera perspective, so that I can get this straight. It's not really doing its job. It's supposed to go to my camera perspective and not care about that. But let's flip this over. I want that hole to be straight up and down, and it won't let me do it. got, it's funny how it detects more each time. It looks like my attempt to drill those holes actually failed. Oh no, it didn't fail, it just didn't put them all the way through. Now it's through. That one's through. This one is not. Now it's through. I'd say the nice thing about drilling all these holes is you can go in after this thing is printed and it's done. You can go in and fill them all with putty and do whatever you need to do to fill them all in. See, it still shows that as a blocked off cavity. There really isn't anything I can do about it. I've drilled the holes. The only thing I could do is possibly drill one right from the top. Let's see. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to change the length. We're going to clear it all. We're going to change the length. We're going to double our length. Put one right through. In theory, that went right through. It didn't. Now it did. So we got a hole going all the way through. I'm going to put one under here too. We're going to go straight through the bottom. There we go. So, we're going to go back to this. We're going to move on. Orient this the way we wanted it in the first place. That's good. I'm going to orient our little ammo boxes just so that they aren't doing anything funny. And now we're going to add supports. I'm going to do one at a time. So, we got to go up here to the very top and do supports. I like to do auto supports because I don't want to spend the next half an hour or longer adding supports manually. When you do the supports, you'll notice the bottom of it the bottom of it turns red. That's telling you where supports should go. Okay? So, on our ammo boxes, I think light supports are going to be good enough. I'm going to hit apply. And it automatically adds those supports. Okay. Here's the supports where the system believes that it's going to need them. Now we can do manual supports also, and you can add them wherever you want. I think maybe adding a couple more is not going to hurt. So just do a few. Nothing wrong with adding more supports to make sure this thing prints. Okay. If you're thinking it might have a problem, like for example, this is red under here, but it decided not to print any, not to put any supports. I'm going to put one on there. Okay, let's go around the other side. Anything on this side? Well, there's this one here. Let's do that. Okay, and we've got one support on the back of this one, but not on the back. Whoops, where are we here? But not here. We could put one there. I want to make sure it's going to print. Give it a little extra help. Why not? Okay. Now, next we're going to do it again. We're going to go back to prepare, and then we select our gun, our barrels. The barrels, I'm going to print them straight up and down like this. So now we go back to supports, and we go auto. I'm going to choose heavy supports for these because the heavier ones are going to help to make sure this thing prints and it stays put, even though it is fairly small. So it only did one on the barrel there, but I want to do another one. So we're going to do a manual support. I want to do another one under here. See, it doesn't like it because the gun seems to be a little bit on an angle, maybe? I don't know why. I'm not sure why. I also don't like these big ones in the middle here. So we're going to edit our supports. I'm going to select this and I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Why? Because I want to add them manually. This I don't like being on such an angle, so I'm going to drag this one down. I also don't like that it's coming up the side. I want it to underneath, so I'm going to just move this underneath there. Like that. So yeah, that's okay. We'll just have to live with that, right? I want to do the same with this guy. Move him so he's kind of more underneath there. That angle is fine. I don't mind that at all. But where they had them under here, we're going to add light supports. So we're going to go light, and then we're going to go manual, and we're going to add our own light supports here. So you see it doesn't like them being there. I don't mind that. Let's do this one. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go back to edit. I don't want these getting right close to there, because what happens, your supports go right against these, and you know what happens is you print it off and your supports are fused to the thing. So I'm going to try and reduce that chance by lowering these down, making them thinner. The other thing I want to do is you can always drag your supports away. See, that's getting pretty close there. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it away like that, so it's a little further away. And I think that's pretty good. This one I want to drag it down a little bit so it'll let me. It won't let me drag it down. Sometimes it won't let you do it. It's just the way it is. Okay. This one, I want to give this one some extra support because it's by itself. So we're going to go back to manual. We can give it a light support, that's fine. Just add another one to it, and now suddenly there's a support supporting the support. It's going to give it extra strength and help it to actually hold. I'm going to do that in a couple of spots where it just seems to be, they've kind of left it out to dry, hang it, you know, high and dry on its own here. Just added a there we go. I think we're in a good spot now to get this thing to print properly and actually print. So I don't like this big overhang here, but see if we can fix that. I'm going to edit this one. See if we can drag that down underneath there. Yes, I like that. Because there was literally nothing there before. I think we're doing good here. This is looking a lot better now. It looks like it's actually going to print for me. I'm going to add one more up here. And just do another light support right there. Yeah. That looks better to me. I'll do another one here. Okay, so that's done. Third and final one is going to be our actual gun base. Okay, deselect and then select that, go back to supports. This one is the heaviest piece, and so I want to do heavy supports on this one. This is the heaviest one, and so it needs heavy supports. So we'll see what it wants to do with heavy supports on this. There we go. So it's looking pretty good, right? There's lots on there. Now on the bottom here, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to do manual, and we're going to leave it on heavy, and we're just going to add some more. Actually, I'm going to add light supports. The system is already adding the amount of supports it thinks it needs is going to be good enough. I'm just going to add a few more. Adding the supports is going to help with making it more rigid and not flex. To make sure that your print's going to come out nice and straight. It really sucks when you do a print and it's supposed to be something that's straight and it just doesn't come out at all. Or worse, it comes out but it's warped. Warped prints suck. I'm not sure why it didn't add any supports on these, on our feet here. So I'll just add them myself. It's focusing on this edge and not the other edge, and that's fine. I think we're good. It looks all right. Just add a couple here or there. I've got none along these, which makes me a little nervous. Not really nervous, but just want to get to the point where it wants to put it on the actual. There we go. To support the supports, you can't just leave one big long pillar like that. It won't print. I think we're good, guys. I want to put one up here just because this thing sticking out on its own like that, just don't like it. Okay, we are supported. That is done. So we go back to select. Now let's put these kind of back in the middle. We can do it one by one. We can select them all. I don't think it really matters where you put them on the build plate. It's really up to you. I'm going to select them all. Now, this is what I haven't done yet. We're going to go slice. And choosing it's the current platform, it's a single parameter slice. That means it's all done one as one. We're going to go slice. It's going to go through this thing. It's going to show you on my layer height, 0.026, my bottom layers, my exposure time. The exposure time needs to go up. Transition layers should be 5. And my bottom layer count is resting time. Now, this is a little preview of what it's going to do. Each layer as it prints shows you how it's going to print. So now we're going to send it to our printer. My printer, mine is a Saturn 4 Ultra, the 12K version. Hitting that is going to open up the Chichu Manager. There we are. Okay guys, this is where we're going to end it for now. Okay, when we come back, next video, we're going to print this thing and we're going to get that started. Okay, so please hit that like button, hit subscribe, and guys, please, I need to increase my watch hours on this stuff. Please spend a little more time watching a little more through my videos instead of just going click, 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 done. Please, 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 please. Anyway guys, I want to thank you for watching. thanks for joining me on this. Thanks for starting this new journey with 3D printing. Yeah, it's just the beginning of something big. You guys have, maybe there's been a little bit of a hint of some of the printing stuff I've been doing in the background. You've seen some of the stuff. I've printed lots of things already. I got a little stack of tires here. I got a motorbike, an old school Harley Davidson that I've printed. What else? I've got a little container here I made where the lid comes off. Yeah, got one of those. I have lots of little things. Yes, I even have an aircraft ground GPU, ground power unit. Printed that. Yeah, all kinds of figures and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just the start. I've dove deep into it, and yeah, here I am. So here I am printing my own stuff now. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all in the next one.